like a beam, a laser, phaser thing, and it wipes out everything, all the man-made cities, until the planet just looks natural again. We immediately go to the Krenim time ship. Even though these characters don't have names yet, we know that that's Obrys and Anorax. They're talking about their calculations and how did the time incursion go? Did we hit our target? He says no, negative target. And they're all frustrated because they did all these calculations. And then Anorax says, well, you know what? Maybe it's more than just this one colony. Maybe we got to destroy the whole species. And that'll be enough for restoration. So this is a really great cold open. It's very... You don't know what's really going on here yet. You just know that this guy is out to destroy entire civilizations because he's trying to achieve some kind of goal. So it's very mysterious, and then we go right to our opening credits. So, Brooke, had you seen this episode before watching it for tonight?
No. Because I skipped, because as I was watching Voyager, I skipped some episodes to go to these. A while back, just so that I knew that I had seen them at, one time, so then whenever I could go back and do the breakdown and all that kind of stuff. So no, I had not, and I still haven't made it all the way to those episodes in chronological order in Voyager either. I got onto some other I got obsessed, I guess, with a couple other shows, so
well, I was, which is totally fine, of course. I was just curious what your reaction was, because I know Steve and I have seen this many times, but what was your, thoughts or feelings when you saw this for the first time? Like, did you, what was your take on the setup?
I thought it was kind of interesting, because at first I didn't really know what Kurtwood Smith's group was doing at first, and then I kind of realized that they were messing with time, and then you find out that they've been there 100 or so years, or however long they've been there, and doing this, trying to recreate everything the way it was, and I thought it was really interesting. Okay. I never thought about I watch a lot of time travel based TV shows and movies and stuff. So this was sort of a new, interesting kind of idea for me. It's almost like, what was it? Is it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday's Enterprise. We covered that one where they're in a different timeline.
Right.
But it was we were with our crew the whole time, and there were other timelines going on around them, and things were reversed. Anyway, I thought it was a really cool concept, when it comes to that, because there's not a lot of new stuff you can do with time travel when no one really knows if it can happen or how it would happen.
Right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
I was saying, to Brooke's point, I did think it was an interesting way for the writers to write this into it, to where we were as clueless as everybody else, because, as the first temporal incursion happens to where Voyager is, they also have no idea what's happening. The wave just goes through, and the next thing you know, the ship's, breaking apart. There's a random dead crew member on the ground just out of nowhere, and it's just we don't know, they don't know, you know what I'm saying? So we're all finding out together why this time shift is happening and what the purpose is, and I think that's an interesting take on it, because you would see that in the past maybe something like this would happen, and for some reason the protagonists are aware of this, and we're outside of that bubble and are observing it from the outside. But in this case, they're also wrapped up in the story too. We all get to find out together what's happening.
Yeah, that's a really great point. You know, Voyager is just as confused as we are about what's happening, and certainly when that first time wave hits Voyager, we know things have changed because we've been watching the episode. But of course, Voyager has no clue. Like, it's not like they say, "Hey, wait a minute, everything's different." They're unaware that things have shifted because of this time wave. So as the audience, we actually know a little bit more than Voyager does. So it's kind of fun to watch them try to figure out what's happening, and then we kind of go along with them on this investigative journey about how the timeline got shifted. Excuse me. So after our opening, we are in the astrometrics lab. This will become a huge part of the rest of the show, as they are often in the astrometrics lab, like doing calculations and scanning and on whatever. But they're bringing it online for the first time. So all these nice speeches that like Janeway and Chakotay are making about how it's like they're returning to the maps and globes of the ancient explorers, and how they've blended Borg ingenuity along with Starfleet technology, and you know that's because of Harry and Seven. And Seven says that they've plotted a course that's going to eliminate 5 years off of their journey. So pretty exciting. Happy about Astrometrics Lab. And then this is like all exposition where they're like, we're going to pass through this region of space, and then, it's controlled by the Zal. And that made me think of Zool, which made me laugh. And Seven
the
says
gatekeeper.
That, yes, only Zool. So Seven says that the Zal are non-confrontational and they have a low resistance quotient. So that's pretty grim. I love these little Borg observations sometimes are a little scary that Seven likes to make. And so basically they're about to like kind of leave and go about their day, and then the Doctor kind of jumps in here with his long-winded speech, as he often does. And he does have really one funny line where he says that, we used to be at each other's throats, but look at us now. We've all come together. Starfleet, Maquis, Klingon, Talaxium, Hologram, Borg, even Mr. Paris. And that just... He's always dumping on Tom Paris. Always.
And that's his protege, too.
It's true, he is. He's like the medic, basically. He's trained as like the Doctor's assistant because the Doctor's the only medical personnel on board for this ship. I love Robert Picardo in this role as the Doctor because he's
amazing.
Just so snarky and sarcastic. He's just great.
I just don't know how, if in all the Star Trek universe, how the Doctor's not your number one or number two in all of the shows. I just like I said about The Rock being the best guest. I can argue that Robert Picardo and the Doctor is hands down the best Doctor in the entire Star Trek universe.
Uh-oh. That's a big statement. He's the best Doctor. Okay.
Well, okay. So what? I'm sorry. So who you going up against the Doctor?
I would say if I had to rank my Doctors, it would be McCoy.
And
I got to go with McCoy number one. I would go EMH number two. Crusher number three. This is tough. I actually want to put Phlox at number three.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm gonna swap. I'm gonna do Phlox at number three, Crusher at number four, and then probably Bashir at number five, because it's just like, whatever. He's Julian. Whatever. He had some interesting plots, but am I forgetting anybody? I think that's everybody.
Well, there's the guy from Discovery.
What about Dr. Pulaski?
Dr. Pulaski gets an honorable mention because she doesn't deserve all the hate that she gets.
Oh no, I love Pulaski.
I love Dr. Pulaski. Thank you. I love Dr. Pulaski.
I wore a shirt that said "I love Pulaski" to a convention one year. I custom made it, and it's like instead of the heart, it was just Pulaski's face.
That is great.
It was a great. It doesn't fit me anymore, but it's a great shirt.
Amazing.
I'm forgetting the doctor from Voyager. I'm from Voyager.
It's Wilson Cruz's character.
Yes.
Who I really like. I like Wilson Cruz a lot. I met him. He's a really nice guy.
I think I'm gonna put him above Bashir. Also.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Julian just sometimes rubs me the wrong way. Brooke, do you have any thoughts here? Do you want to weigh in on our doctor talk?
Oh, I was just, whenever Steve just started talking about it, I was just going to say that, since last time I was saying that I had before I'd watched Voyager, I wasn't sure what I would think about this hologram doctor, but I really like him a lot. I think he's funny. But I don't really have a ranking.
What was the movie that he guest appeared in? Was it the last? Was it? It wasn't Nemesis, was it? The doctor was in.
Oh, Robert Picardo.
Yeah.
It might have been Nemesis.
Because remember when the Borg was advanced? No, the Borg. There were Borg, so that wasn't in Nemesis.
Yeah.
It must have been First Contact because.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. They
turned him on for they turned him on for distraction. Remember?
Yeah.
As the Borg's coming through, and he starts talking about the things the irritations that's caused by Borg implants. He's like going over the symptoms as he's getting attacked.
Well, I said don't they try to assimilate him? But he's obviously a hologram, so they can't assimilate him. You're right. I think I'm pretty sure that it's First Contact. No, he's great. I love the EMH as his storylines go on. I love his. He's almost like the Data of this series. Like he's trying to become more human, just like Data always was. So, okay. So, in the middle of the Doctor's big speech, Janeway gets saved by the bell. She gets called to the bridge because there's a ship hailing them. Once they get on the bridge, there's this little tiny ship that's shooting its laser guns at them and is you're in Crenham space. You can't be here. And Janeway's I thought this was Zal space. And this guy's foaming at the mouth, they've taken our stuff. We're gonna take it back. And he says that he's gonna destroy Voyager. And then Janeway delivers one of the best lines in this episode, where she says, "Unless you got something a little bigger in your torpedo tubes, I'm not turning it around." And they show Chakotay's face, and he's not bad. He's just impressed with her joke.
Is it better than the Time's Up line?
Oh, it's definitely better than the Time's Up line.
Come on, that's classic 90s right there.
Right? I know. I mean, this episode definitely has a lot of the time travel required lines. Oh, I can make the time. Oh,
which is Janeway's favorite. Janeway really loves time travel stuff.
I know, right?
Also, since you said she was saved by the bell, then Time's Up is sort of in the TV show Saved by the Bell, Time Out. Anyway, sorry.
Exactly. Time out.
Just trying to make a stupid joke.
So now we get to day 4 in the Year of Hell. Day 4, there is a Zal representative on Voyager. He gives us a little more exposition, saying that the Crenham used to be super powerful. They had temporal weapons, but a generation ago, the Zal defeated them in battle. They kind of reduced their power, and then they took back all the planets that had been annexed away from them. But that the Crenham still fly around, kind of making big claims one day, the South will rise again. Sorry, that's the only thing I can think of as a comparison.
Okay.
The only thing I can think of, I'm sorry. So Harry interrupts their talk and says, the Crenham ship is back. He's demanding to speak with her. And we've got the same crazy pilot who's like, you guys are still here, and now you've got the enemy on